Adjacent women by Black moms and mom adjacent women. And today, this series is going to start with we don't talk about that. And this episode today, we're going to be talking about a subject that is very near and dear to my guest's heart, and something that in our community we don't talk about enough, and that's PTSD, anxiety, and depression that comes with being a mom. As always, I'm going to introduce our first special guest today. Her name is Joi Johnson Worthy. She is a TEDx speaker. She's a mom. She's a business owner. She's an amazing woman. She is all the things. So help me welcome Joi.
Well, hello. Thank
Hey, girl.
you.
Welcome to the
Well, thank you.
podcast
That was cute. I enjoyed that.
because you deserve it. So tell them a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I am married 15 years, four beautiful children. They're 22, 14, 13, and
That's
9.
a lot.
Girl, boy, girl, boy. People always say, like, what is it? Girl, boy, girl, boy. But they are my biggest accomplishment, but yet my biggest headache at the same time.
I feel that. That's real.
Yeah.
That's all these kids are.
That's how I
Yeah.
feel.
So today we're going to talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD that comes with being a mom. Something I know that's very important to you.
That's
So I'm going to read a couple stats, right? So research says from the American Psychological Association says that 1 in 5 mothers, 1 in 5, this statistic blew me away. 1 in 5 mothers experiences postpartum depression. And for Black moms, that number is closer to 1 in 3.
Absolutely.
1 in 3. You know how many Black moms I think about my friends and I'm like, okay, so I got like 10 real friends.
Yes.
So that means that more than half of them have experienced postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. It also says that Black women are more likely to go undiagnosed and untreated due to our cultural experiences and how we look at what it means to be depressed.
That's it. That's it. Or they'll say, you're not the first one to have a baby. You're not going to be the last one. I did it. Your grandma did it. Your great grandma did it. Mm-hmm.
And great grandma was probably depressed and going through it.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about, you have 4 kids.
I do.
And I can't imagine any of them were easy.
They were not.
So you did it 4 times.
I did it 4 times.
So talk to us a little bit about your experience with just postpartum, anxiety, depression, or anything that you want to share about just your birth stories with your children.
All the things. So what I would want to say first is I experienced postpartum depression with all 4 of my children.
Oh, wow.
All 4 of my children, but I did not know it was a thing until my 3rd child. And so when I had my first child, my first daughter, I was 21 when I had her. And I remember just feeling like I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be in a blessed state, but I was in a very one, how did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? I am now a statistic because I immediately became a single mom. That's another podcast on another day. But I wrapped it all up to say I was experiencing this because this was new. And, it was overwhelming. So I experienced with my first daughter, but I didn't want to really talk about it.
Oh, wow.
With my second son, I definitely experienced it, but then I didn't want to talk about it because by this time I was married and I was in church. So you shouldn't be sad. You shouldn't be depressed. You should be happy. God blessed you. But I was a shell of myself. I wore sweatpants and jogging pants to church.
Oh, wow.
I didn't do my makeup. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to hold my baby. But again, I couldn't put words into it. There were not words that even helped me. It was either, do you love your kid or do you want to kill your kid? There was no in between.
Yeah, nothing extremes.
Yeah, right. So when I went to the doctor's office, like, how are you feeling, Mom? And I wanted to say, I'm overwhelmed. I want to give y'all this baby back. I want to go back home and just deal with the one kid that I had at first and then just manage the new body, the new mind that I'm in. But I didn't want them to put me in a psych ward or...
It's fear.
Correct.
Yeah.
There was no language around it.
Jeez.
By my 3rd daughter, I end up stumbling upon a white blog that said postpartum depression. And I said, well, what is this? And I'm going to tell you, those moms almost wore it like a badge of honor.
Wow.
Did you have postpartum? Me too. Did you have it? And I'm like, what?
So it was open conversation in the
Oh, it was
community.
totally open conversation. I experienced it with this kid. I had to just give my husband my kid. I couldn't even. I'm like, we could never. So at that moment, I was able to put some language around it.
Jeez,
I was able to
Joi.
put some language around it, and I was able to say, me too. And then once I received some language and realized that postpartum depression can kind of be like hereditary. Like if you had it, your mom had it. If your mom had it, your grandmother had it. So then I went to my mom. I said, Mom, I've realized that I've been experiencing postpartum depression with all three of my children. Did you have postpartum with me? And my mom looked at me and she was like, yes.
And what was that conversation like? Okay, like that for
Yeah.
your mother to be able to exhale finally,
She did.
which makes me feel like she was also holding on to it
She was.
and didn't have anybody to talk to about
She
it.
didn't.
So did that make you feel better, or did that make you feel like, dang?
It made me feel like, okay. So she said, Joi, I wanted nothing to do with you for the first 6 months of your life.
Wow.
Nothing. And we had a whole conversation because I was just telling her how I felt about my children. Like, Mom, I love my kids. I'm grateful for my kids. But just being their mom was so overwhelmingly taxing, of just fixing the bottle, breastfeeding, changing diapers. And then my when 2 and 3 came, they were 17 months apart. So managing toddlers, 2 in diapers. And when you talk to other African American women about your depression or your anxiety or the heaviness of motherhood, they simply say, oh, you're young. How old are you again? 27? Girl, by the time I was 27, I was da-da-da-da-da.
So the elders wouldn't even help her. But I think that goes back to just some of these statistics about how women, Black women specifically, are suffering in silence because of those cultural traditions. We're so afraid to admit that something is wrong.
Yes.
And we're so afraid to say, I can't do this, or I'm overwhelmed, or this is too much for me, just because we feel like we have to carry it all.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel like this is normal. It's not normal.
It's not normal.
Nor should you have to carry it.
And I think also what happens is just past generations have been carrying loads for so long that they teach us to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did it. You should be fine. And I did it. And, your grandmother did it. And so when I told my mom and she told me her experience with me, and she's like, Joi, I love you. I said, Mom, I know you do. And she said, I never wanted to say that out loud. So then I went to my grandmother. So my grandmother has 5 children. My grandmother, to date in 2025, she's 85. And so this was probably 13 years ago. I asked her this question. I said, Granny, did you experience postpartum depression with any of your kids? Now, first of all, that generation don't have that language, right?
At all. She was probably like, what?
Exactly. Was I depressed? No, I was not depressed. No, I was happy. I said, no, Granny, not necessarily depressed, but when you were having your children, did you ever get sad?
Yeah.
No, I was always happy. Why are you asking me that?
Ashamed.
I said, well, Granny, I have had postpartum depression with all 4 of my children. And when I talked to my doctor about it, she said, your mother probably experienced it with you. And I said, when I talked to my mom, Granny, she said she did experience it with me. And so if my mom experienced it with me, it's more than likely that you could have experienced it with your children, but no one talked to you about it, so you didn't know. So then my granny said, well, maybe I was a little.
Just a little bit. Just a little. She said just a smidge. What you're not going to do is put this whole thing on me. Just a little bit. I'm going to give you just a little bit.
And so at that moment, I had to say, Granny, and it's okay.
Yes. So you done freed 3 generations.
I said, Granny, it's okay. And she said, Joe, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. And I just did what I had to do.
Is that part.
And so I'm happy that we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because again, in different communities, they wear it like a badge of honor.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll tell you, when I really started to look into it, I'll never forget, I was at a high school I was at some function, and this woman, a Caucasian woman, she was chasing her like 13-year-old toddler. And she said, I hate it here. And I was just like,
Me
wait,
too.
you said that out loud? I hate it here. And I said, what did you say? I hate this age. I just want them to sit down, shut up, and not move, chasing. I was like,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like,
I remember the first time telling somebody that I didn't like my son when he was born. And I was getting my hair done, and my hairdresser was a really good friend of mine. And she's just like, oh, Nikki, you have a boy now, you know, this. And she was like, how is it? I said, can I tell you something? And she's like, yeah. I said, I don't like him. And she was like, you don't like him? And I said, I don't like him.
Yeah.
I was like, he's a difficult baby. He has not slept through the night. I'm exhausted. My nipples are hard. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I was like, he doesn't listen. All he does is cry. I don't know what's wrong with him. This was before we knew that he had autism. But I was just like, I just don't like him. I don't connect with him. And she was just like, let it out.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I said it out loud. And of course, talking to my best friends and stuff, but to be able to let that out was so freeing. And I probably had some level of depression because I was just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, the girl wasn't like this. Like, what?
And you know what? And that
I don't know
also,
what to do.
when you are a mother of multiple children, you do make the assumption that you can parent them the same, that you're going to feel the same. And each child comes with another level of emotion. You're not the same mom that you were when you birthed your first kid.
For sure.
Or your second kid, right? And then they are their own individual children. So you're like, wait, your sister slept through the night. Wait, your sister liked bananas. What do you mean you don't want to eat this? Like, wait, you want to be different?
How dare you?
How dare you be different? And then require me to be different.
Yes, but that's another part of the conversation that we don't talk about, right? We don't talk about how when you first become a mom, you're saying goodbye to who you used to be. And then when you become a mom again, you're saying goodbye to who that person was. So every time you think you know yourself, you don't.
Ooh.
Because you have to get to know that version of you that was a parent of one. Now you're a parent of two. Now you're a parent of three. And you're a parent of four. So the Joi that started out before she had any children is 4 children removed. So you have to get to know yourself all over again. And just bravo for you for being able to say something is wrong and somebody is going to have to help me figure out what this is. I hate that it took 3 children for you to figure that out. But like, my goodness. And you were able to go back and talk to your mom and free her up, and talk to your grandma and free her up. Like, imagine if we were able to do that, and how we're able to reverse those generational curses in our families by going back and healing generations. Like, that's amazing that you were able to do that. What would you say were some of your like top symptoms? Like, how did you know that something wasn't right?
So I would say just the desire to do the basic things like shower, the basic things of dressing my children, the basic things of just making multiple decisions. I'm like, Joi, come on, like, you're a mom. And so that kind of set the alarm. But again, I was scared to even say anything, because we also have this pressure of, when you're a mom, it automatically makes you an adult. Like, you should know this. You should know.
You're
this.
such a fake adult. We're such fake adults. We're such fake adults. It's not real.
Such fake adults. So I didn't want to really raise my hand. And then when I did raise my hand, it's like, girl, you young. You'll figure it out. But it was just, I first noticed it when it was difficult for me to just do the basic things of showering, of wanting to feed my children. There was this book that I found, and it was called Didn't I Feed You Yesterday?
Oh,
I know. And I was like, yes, because I did. But why is you hungry today? But the author, she lived in Manhattan. She had 2 nannies. Girl, like, what are we talking about? Like, your story and my story is
we're not the same.
We're not the same.
We're not the same.
But I had to give myself grace with my motherhood story.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of times we compare motherhood journeys and motherhood stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I attended this mom conference, and I was in the thick of it all. And the mom said, listen, if your children ate something today, you're doing well.
Yep.
If your kids don't have urine and feces caked up on them, you're doing well today. If you are breathing and talking and moving, you're doing well today. Like, she took it down to the bare bones of, you're doing well today.
You needed that.
Girl.
You needed that.
And that began to help me give myself grace.
Yeah.
Postpartum, I wish, and I don't have the research behind it, I wish I could tell you it only lasts for this amount of time.
Yeah.
But depending on what life is giving you at that time, your postpartum can be exacerbated, extended. And so during the first 3 years of giving birth to those children, it was a very tumultuous time in my marriage, at work. Then
being Black, being a woman.
Then couple that with you just gave birth. It was a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And we don't talk about those conversations when we are at baby showers and when we find out someone is pregnant. We don't tell them what else comes with it. You know, we'll say, sleep when the baby is sleeping. We'll say,
leave the dishes until tomorrow. Don't worry.
Yes, right? Or make as much noise so the baby can know night from day. Yes. But it's very rare that you tell me as a mom, get ready for your body to hormonally change.
Yeah. For
you to go through some psychological changes in your life, that you will not be the version of yourself that you were before, because we're always chasing who we were.
Oh, yeah.
Versus embracing the new.
Who we are. Yeah.
And so I started to be very intentional about talking to new moms, to let them know the good, the bad, and the ugly that could be on the horizon without projecting. Like, because, you know, I hate when you see someone pregnant, it's like, ooh, girl, I was in labor for 48 hours. Then my booty hole split. Like, ma'am.
We didn't need to know all of that.
Ma'am, just
and
let me know.
To me.
Just let me know it's going to be a little
different.
That's
it.
So there's this.
We don't need the whole thing. We didn't need the whole thing.
That part.
Here's what nobody told me.
Okay.
When I had my daughter, I was like, okay, my stomach is this big. I bought the cutest little pajamas to wear at the hospital that were my regular size. Nobody told me that your stomach doesn't go back down. Mm-mm. I thought once the baby comes out, we're done. The nurse was like, oh, sweetie, that's cute. Yeah. I was like, but I had bought these cute pajamas. No. She was like, oh, no, you won't be able to fit those for a long time. Yeah. And I remember feeling like, did nobody tell me?
Nobody.
Yes. So my stomach's gonna look like this? Then what happens? Because now I got questions. Because where does all of this go?
Where does it go?
But like you said, nobody had those conversations. We just had a baby shower. It was cute. Oh, Nikki, your stomach. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But nobody talked to me about what it would feel like after, what it would look like after. I got that same bogus advice. Sleep while she's sleeping. Who does that? Because if she's sleeping, this is the new baby, I'm awake because I want to make sure you still breathing, ma'am.
That part.
What?
That part. Yeah. So we don't have those necessary conversations. And I want to give, this is so random, but I just want to give a big shout out to the Gen Zs of the world. They have taught us how to be transparent.
Oh, for sure.
They have taught us how to share open so that people can get free.
Oh, yeah.
And so just being around younger people gave me the courage to start talking about this out loud, because no one was talking about postpartum in my group of friends.
No, not at all.
Right? So I just wanted to give that shout out to them, that they, then shout out to us because we're the one that birthed them, but still thank them
flowers,
for
girl. Let them have it. Let them have their moment.
But thank them for showing us how freeing transparency is and how it can help so many people.
Oh, yeah. So were you able to talk to your husband about it? Like after you realized what it was? So were you able to, the exhale just,
I know.
The exhale just sent me screaming. Were you able to say like, hey, hon, so I found this thing and I'm probably going through this thing?
Yes, I was. I was able to talk to him about it, and I'm so grateful to have him. But even though I've been married for 15 years, I still have a sweet spot for single moms.
Mm.
And my heart still aches for that single mom that may be or may not be going through postpartum, or maybe going through postpartum and they have no one.
Yeah.
They still have the weight of it all. But my husband, yes, he was very grateful. He began to take the kids. So when he got off work, he would come get the kids from me, because he honestly has said one time, I'm afraid to leave them alone with you.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh, wow. Can we just stay there for a second, though? Like, wow. Not only wow because he was able to say that out loud, but wow because he saw you.
Yeah.
And that he took it serious, what you said to him about how you felt. That he knew you enough to know, like, something is seriously wrong for my joy to not be feeling joy.
I never looked at it like that at that moment.
That's amazing.
I looked at it like, what you think I'm going to do to him?
Oh, not you were being offended.
I was. I was offended. I was. But the truth of the matter is, was I silently like pinching them and disregarding them because of my postpartum? I was. I was. Like, y'all have come in and just completely disrupted my life.
Wow.
So I never.
That's a brave thing to say, sis.
I know.
But no, like that's give yourself that moment. Like, don't just y'all see how she just tried to say that and then be like, all right, I'm gonna keep it moving. We always bring it back because we gonna give her this moment. Like, that's an amazing thing for you to say, and like how freeing for the moms that are listening and they're like, ooh, girl, me too.
Yes.
Like I silently. You know how many times I silently wanted to be like, if I leave my son over there and walk away, what would happen? How long would it be? Would he come chase me? How long would I go to jail for? Because sis was not okay. So you just freed up some women being able to say that out loud. Like you think about your journey. You had 3 children, 3 sets of doctors that didn't notice, did not hear beyond what you were saying. You didn't feel comfortable sharing it with your husband nor your friends because you didn't know what it was. You knew that there was something wrong, but not able to say that. So you're talking about 3 children that experienced a level of you that was not optimal, that you weren't able to, you were gaslit by everybody around you into whether it be because you're young or you're okay, you're not the first one to have a baby, all of this gaslighting from medical professionals as well as your circle. And yet you were still able to say, hey, something's not right and I'm not okay. Like that is amazing. And how many other mothers are out there that are sitting in silence, suffering, knowing that something is wrong, but don't have a community to be able to say, hey, y'all, I'm not okay. Because I think that's one of the things in our community that is the most difficult thing to say as Black mothers is, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to not be okay. Somebody sent me a card that said on the outside, it said, it's okay not to be okay. And I didn't even have to open it. And I sat with that for such a long time. And I am learning just as a mom that sometimes my kids are like, Ma, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I will be. But in this moment, no, I'm not okay. Because I want to normalize that for them to know that sometimes mom is not okay. And having PTSD and depression and just anxiety postpartum when it comes to being a mom, we don't give ourselves permission to not be okay. When we're not. And that's all right. You really should drop some gems. So if you could go back to child 1 and give Joy a message or say something to Joy with child number 1, what would that message be?
I think I would say something like, Buckle up, sis. This is going to be an interesting journey and adventure.
Mm.
This is bigger than what bows you're going to put in her hair, what shoes she's going to wear, but this is going to be both a mental and physical journey, and get ready for it.
Yeah.
Get ready for the ups and downs. Something to that effect. Like, just get ready for the ups and downs of it all, because people, especially at baby showers, they give you all these cute clothes that you can put them on, and the toys, but no one gave me anything for mental. No one gave me anything for the new psychology of just motherhood. No one prepared me for that.
That's a book, sis. The Psychology of Motherhood.
Seriously.
That's a book. Y'all be on the lookout for a book from Joi Johnson called The Psychology of Motherhood.
But no one prepared me for the mental, and we still don't really talk about it as much as we are having conversations. But that is something I would tell Joy with child number 1.
And if you could go back and when your doctor says, "Hey Joy, how you doing, Mom?" What would you say?
Oh, I would say, now don't get alarmed.
Don't get alarmed. Just took my breath.
Don't get alarmed. Like, don't take my baby away.
Don't call the people.
But I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like myself. And is this normal? This is heavy. And I'm also an only child. So anytime I say anything about anything, people say, "Girl, you're an only child. You spoiled." So then that also eliminated me really speaking up about anything that I was doing, because you were going to just put this only child spoiled label on me.
Gaslight. She said, "And I'm out."
So I would tell the doctor, I love myself. I love my baby, but something is off.
Something's off. Yeah.
And I would have loved for them to say, well, this is normal. Here's what happens to your body. Because we talk about the uterus and the vagina and the ovaries and the expansion of your stomach and you can't have sex for 6 weeks. Like, we talk about all of the genitalia that's happened, but no one tells me what's going to happen up here.
Yeah, girl.
For the next 1 to 5 years.
Yep.
So if you could just prepare me for that as well.
Yeah.
So when I had my 4th son, I was a high-risk pregnancy because I was older. So I already went into it with complications, but my husband and I were also prepared for the mental.
Yeah.
The mental that came with it. Because also when I had my 4th son, we were homeless.
Girl.
We were homeless. So we were very, like, even though our situation is not, it was important that love surrounded me. Because I'm at high risk for depression after pregnancy. So because we knew that love surrounded me, and I was patient with myself. I involved my children to help me with their younger brother.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So we just took some different approaches. I was not the end all be all. If anyone wanted to help, I allowed it, because I knew I would get overwhelmed easily, which would then go into depression.
Yes.
Like, it was just all the things. See? So ego had to go away. Shame had to go away.
Yep.
My mom came and stayed with me for 2 weeks. She lives in Atlanta. Like, we were just like, yeah, we need all the things, because if we don't get all the things, Joy will go down.
I love that. Because you knew more.
I did.
You had all of the tools that you needed to be able to approach this situation differently, even though it wasn't an optimal situation. You still knew what you needed and advocated for yourself.
I did.
Girl, I appreciate this conversation so much.
I
Thank
appreciate having it.
Thank you so much for joining us and talking about this very, very, very important topic because more moms need to have these courageous conversations, especially in our community,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can begin to heal as a community and create better experiences for moms. I think that's why this Black doula movement is so important. Moms
Mm.
creating birth plans that are surrounded around what they want and not
Yes,
what hospitals are telling them that they need or should
absolutely.
have. So definitely also want to just leave this episode by saying like, man, y'all, we all we got out here. And if we don't start having more courageous conversations like these, to let you talk about postpartum depression and anxiety and all the things that come with being a mom, you got to get a village around you, get educated, read some books, find out what's going on. And above all else, y'all, please just speak up, say something, and please know that it's okay not to be okay. Join us next time for another episode of Just Breathe.